Good day, everyone. Welcome to Van Chicagoland Stories, the podcast. I'm your host, Pika Stas. This is episode 77, season 4. Today's date is November 16th, 2021. I have an interesting show coming up, and I think you would like it. And right now, the show will go into a commercial break. And this show is brought to you by Taster's Choice Coffee. And here's a commercial from 1975. Enjoy, everybody.
The taste of fresh perked ground roast coffee. That's Taster's Choice. It's perked to perfection, then freeze-dried to lock in all that fresh perked flavor. When you remove the ice, you still have fresh perked coffee, but in little chunks that look and smell like ground roast and taste fresh perked. You have Taster's Choice freeze-dried coffee, regular and green label decaffeinated. Both taste fresh perked because both start fresh perked.
Oh, it's such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 40% off select styles, plus a free professional measure. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial. I'll give you a little background on Taster's Choice Coffee. I remember the commercials from the 70s when I was growing up, where they advertised freeze-dried. It came in regular, decaffeinated. But the most famous advertisements for this coffee was in the 1990s. And they did a series of commercials. It was like a cliffhanger. It was like a soap opera. And originally it was from the instant coffee brand called Nescafe Gold Blend. And that was in England. And then that ran from 1987 to 1993. That's 6 years in England. But starting in 1990 in the United States, they called it Taster's Choice. I think it's the same thing. I don't know. I guess so. And it was called the Taster's Choice Saga. And it ran for about a few years. And the actors that were in the commercials starred Anthony Head and Sharon Malkin. I guess that's what as Tony and Sharon. And they were starting a romance. And Sharon is a well-known British actress, and so is Anthony. And Anthony Head is a well-known British actor, but he's well-known for starring in the TV series Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And his role was Rupert Giles, and he was there for the entire series, I believe. Could be wrong, but I never watched the show. I don't know. I wasn't interested. I guess I heard it was good. Maybe not, but I've seen the movie, the original movie in the theater that starred Christy Swanson and Luke Perry, and that came out 92. Yeah, 1992. I saw that, and that was fun, but I had no idea they were going to convert it, go into a TV series. Anyway, so Taster's Choice is still around and still owned by Nescafe. I have only had it once, a long time ago. I haven't had it since, so that's the end of that. Okay. Today we'll talk about two things. Two TV classics. One is Bert Weinman Ford and its TV spokesman, Linn Burton. And every time I see Linn Burton, I start to laugh. I don't know why. He seemed like a very nice guy, but it's his voice and his mannerisms that get to me. He reminds me of a man. He's no longer living. He used to attend my church at St. Constantine and Helen in Palos Hills, and that man reminds me. He was in the church board, and he used to wear these god awful plaid suits. I think some of them do now. Still, I don't know. I hope not. And this is probably in the 70s and 80s, but that's what it reminds me of. My mother told me that too. But I'll go into Lynn Burton further. I'll talk about him further, but first I will talk about Bert Weinman and his Ford dealership, and I'll give you a little history of him. Okay, and let's see. His name was Bert Weinman. He owned the car dealership was located at 3535 North Ashland Avenue in Chicago, it was mentioned on every commercial ad. Everyone knows that address very well. There are some famous addresses in Chicago that had to deal with TV commercials, and that was one of them. And also phone numbers too, like Bouchelle Hudson 32700, just like that. Anyway, so the car dealership was advertised frequently on television. I think exclusively on WGN TV Channel 9. I never saw it on Channel 32, Channel 44, 25. No, I think Channel 9. And it was like a Chicago landmark. It really was. And I'll give you a little history about Bert. Let's see. I don't know where he was born or anything, but I do. There's a few items, a few things of information about him. He opened a Ford dealership in 1957 in Chicago, and then I don't know which one it was. Maybe it was that one or the Bert Weinman Ford. No idea. And it opened in 1967, and probably was located elsewhere, like I mentioned before, and at 3535 North Ashland Avenue, and it was there from 1967 to 2006. And those 2-minute spots were everywhere, like I mentioned before. And a little bit of that, Bert Weinman served in the Army Air Corps in World War II. And later he worked as a hurricane hunter in Florida. Very interesting. That's according to his son. His name is Lee Weinman, I guess. Let me find his name. Yeah, Lee Weinman. Okay. Anyway, so that was there until so he ran it. I believe his son took over. And Bert Weinman died in 2010, and so I guess his son took over that and for a long time. And it was sold in 2016, 2016 or 2017, around there. And now the place is a senior housing condo, or like it was like maybe apartments, a condo, and you could see it on Google Maps and like that. But if you drive down on North Ashland Avenue, if you remember the address, you would see it. And you would point out and say, "That's Bert Weinman." That's funny, like that. Anyway, and it's a shame because you don't see those commercial. You don't see that commercial anymore these days. So younger people would not know. So the name of the place is called the Artist Senior Living of Wrigleyville. I don't know if it's still called that, but that's what it is. So, and they used to show those commercials on WGN TV, Channel 9. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, weekdays, weekends. If people remember the Flash Gordon serials, they used to show that in Channel 9, but they were shown in the theater in the old days, just like probably the Green Hornet, or I can't think of a few of them, like Superman. But Flash Gordon was very popular, and then when it was shown on television, they were great. I watched a few. I liked that, with Ming the Merciless. There was also a 1980 movie. I remember that, and I remember Queen did the soundtrack, the rock group Queen. Anyway, so I remember seeing the commercials on Creature Features on Saturday nights, Also, Sunday mornings, there was also the Lone Ranger, reruns of that show, and the Cisco Kid. And also the late movies. Yeah, they did that. Or I don't know if they did on Sunday nights when movies were movies, probably. But they showed it in late movies. And so they had to find a spokesman for it. And lo and behold, here comes Linn Burton. And he fit like a glove in these commercials. He really did. Okay. Right now, I'm going to play a commercial of Bert Weinman Ford with Linn Burton, and this is from 1980, and courtesy of TVFuzzyMemories.net by Rick Klein. Thank you, Rick. So here is the commercial, and I hope you enjoy it. And it runs for about 2 minutes. Thank you.
The Late Movie is brought to you in part by Bert Weinman, your TV Ford man. Open nightly till 9, open all day, Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 3535 North on Ashland Avenue. Come one, come all to the fabulous September Carnival of Savings now going on at Bert Weinman Ford Country, 3535 North on Ashland Avenue. Super savings on every car, plus free refreshments for mom and dad, and yes, for the kids too. Don't miss the excitement. Be early, join the crowds, and save as never before. Oh, come on in and celebrate the all-new, brand-new 1981 Escort, Ford's world car with front-wheel drive. Escort, only $51.58 at Bert Weinman Ford, so order now for early delivery. Yes, the 81s are here right now. Thunderbird, Fairmont, Mustang. Not only are they here, but you get immediate delivery and you get Bert Weinman's famous discount prices. Act now during our gala September Carnival of Savings for the buy of a lifetime. And what about used cars? Well, all of our used cars are sacrificed to make room for new car trade-ins. Check the savings with me right now. This is an air-conditioned 1979 Thunderbird, truly an outstanding value at today's low $48.88 full-delivered Carnival of Savings low price. Own this shimmering sports-styled air-conditioned 79 Cougar XR7 for only $44.88 full-delivered sale price today. And fresh from Bert Weinman Ford Trade-In Country, here's an air-conditioned 79 Ford LTD, yours in this festive savings carnival for just $39.88. The full-delivered super savings price and worth much more. All 1980s must go at final closeout prices. And not only do you get huge savings, my friend, but we also include famous Rusty Jones rust proofing at no extra cost with every 1980. So don't lose out. Come in today. It's our September Carnival of Savings with free refreshments for the whole family. So see Bert Weinman Ford today. Yes, he's your TV Ford man, where you shop in comfort indoors nightly till 9. Open Saturdays, open Sundays, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 3535 North on Ashland Avenue.
Okay, everyone, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that commercial of Bert Weinman with Linn Burton. That takes me back, and it also takes a lot of people back to a simpler time. Commercials today are too flashy, fast, and too much MTV stuff. I mean, do they still do that on MTV? I don't know. I haven't watched it in a long time. Anyway, right now I'm going to talk a little bit about Linn Burton. And that should be a lot of fun. And here we go. Let's see. I will start about I will read his biography. Here we go. Okay, he was born on January 30th, 1911. And that was not his real name. Linn Burton was not. His real name was Burton Adolf Ofsty, I think that's how you pronounce it, in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He later came to Chicago and got his first radio job somewhere on the west side of Chicago in the late 1930s. And when the station moved downtown and it changed to a radio station that a lot of people remember, it was WAIT, I think on 820 AM. Right now it's WCPT, and I was interviewed on a show last month on the radio show Where Are They Now? I discussed Riverview Park. I had a wonderful time. It I would cherish that time for the rest of my life. Anyway, and when he worked at WAIT, he changed his name to Linn Burton. I don't know how that came about. I don't know where he got that name, but in the 1940s, the radio station fired him. And he worked at other radio stations in Chicago. He was a announcer, disc jockey, interviewer, and in the 1940s, he was hosting about 85 separate 15-minute radio programs a week. I mean, radio was big back then. That was your form of entertainment. Besides movies and newspapers, television didn't come. It came much later. What he was famous for was his TV commercials, and he first appeared in the 1950s, and he was the spokesman for Polk Brothers, and I remember seeing about that, but I wish I'd seen a video of him doing the commercials. I have a Facebook page of Polk Brothers. It's one of my favorite stores when I was growing up, and that would have been interesting. And also in the 1950s, he invested in his first restaurant, and it was called Linn Burton's Steakhouse. And he owned four, or he co-owned or four of them. And that steakhouse was located at 744 Northwest Street in Chicago. And let's see, I found an advertisement in Billboard.com. And the other owners were named Peggy Sable and Bert Wilson, and he was a Chicago Cubs broadcaster, and they were partners. And I think that restaurant lasted a long time, probably maybe to the 70s. I never eaten there. I've heard of it, and right now it's a condo, so they got rid of that. And there's a picture circulating on the web. You could find, and he's standing right in front of it. There's a sign, which is interesting. Okay, and he also was a co-owner of another place, and that was called Ribs and Bibs. That was located at 5300 South Dorchester in the Hyde Park neighborhood in Chicago. And the founders, it was Linn Burton, and the other person's name was Vince Schoenberg. And it was still owned by the family until it closed. I don't know when it closed. Probably not recently, I guess. And it was there for years, about 45 years. And for what I heard from other people, it was delicious. The food was good. And sometimes when patrons visited to place their orders or pick up their orders, they would see Linn Burton at the cash register. And the opponent, aren't you the Bert Weinman guy? Or the Bert Weinman guy, excuse me. They would do that. Oh, that's fun. Like that. Anyway, let's see what else. And then he was hired in the 60s to be the spokesman for Bert Weinman Ford. And he was like on a 6-week trial. And WGN hired him, and if he didn't, did a good job or didn't bring in business, he would be canned. That did not happen. So when he did his first pitch in 1964 for Bert Weinman, car sales tripled almost immediately. It was like I don't know. He was so natural talking like that, and so it was great that he did that. And one time, Mr. Burton described his pitch as zip zap. That's the way he was, and a lot of people loved him. Sometimes he was confronted on the street. Some fans would go say, "Oh, you're the Bert Weinman guy." I'm Linn Burton, but they don't remember his name and all that. That's fine. And he passed away on October 17, 1995. He was 84 years old. And he was quite a character. He was married a few times, and he had one son. And let's see what else. He also did other commercials. not just Bert Weinman Ford. He did others. And like, for example, he did, let's see, on the top of my head, he did Harrison Furniture. I remember that. Also did that. He also, earlier in his career, he hosted the first morning television show, and it was a women's audience participation show called The Second Cup. It was on WBKB, which was WBM on Channel 2, like that. And here are the other commercials. And that he was a spokesman. He did Elfish Furniture, if you remember that. National Clothes and Fashions, Curtis Candy Company, Holland Jewelers, which is now Rogers and Hollands. He did for Marlboro cigarettes when cigarette commercials were on television. That's an interesting topic. I will do an episode about that. I used to watch. It was fascinating to watch that cigarette commercials on TV. Now they don't. They're banned. Also, Amana Appliances. If you remember the company, Amana, they were famous for their radar range. So he did a lot. He was he disapproved of hunting. He didn't like that, and he contributed several times a year to the Animals of St. Francis. It was a privately owned animal refuge in Wadsworth, and that's up in McHenry County. So if you had memories of him, I'm sure you will mention them on my Facebook page, my Twitter page, all my other Facebook accounts. So that would be interesting. And he did the commercials for Bert Weinman for about 25 years. You would see him in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. You would see that. So he was a fixture. He was like a friend of the family. That's what he was. Okay. So let's see. That'll be all for today, but I'm going to talk about something else, something personal about me. A few days ago on Facebook, I run a few groups and pages. Pages, about 30 of them, and I don't post every day. Mostly I post about the Vanish Chicagoland Facebook page and my Vanish Chicagoland blog and podcast. Whenever I have a recorded podcast, I will post it there. I also run a few groups. One group is, of course, Vanish Chicagoland. And about the past month or two, membership has been growing steadily, almost every day. And it's fast and furious. I don't understand why. I think it's a Facebook thing. Maybe it's an algorithm thing. I don't know. It's wonderful, but I guess maybe people discover it like that. And it's I posted something on my social media accounts that now I have 90,000 members and still counting. It's still growing. I would be blessed if they ever would reach 100,000 members, because there are not a lot of groups like that. Maybe famous groups that had to do with celebrities, politics, sports figures, something like that. For example, Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bulls, etc. So I'm very pleased by that, and it's still growing, like I mentioned before, and I'm very happy. I'm very happy about that. Okay. So that'll be all for today. I'm glad you can join me. This is episode 77 of Vanish Chicago Stories, the podcast. And I'm your host, Pete Costanis. And I hope you can join me for the next episode 78, probably this weekend. And I'll see what I will talk about. Something interesting. We'll see. I'll do some research. Okay. So, bye-bye, everybody. Take care. And here is Ray Rayner saying bye-bye for now. So long, everybody.
We have to go. Bye, bye, bye.